Hi, this is Amreen, and I reread Ernest Hemingway's A Moveable Feast last month, which was in Jan. So, if you're in one of those back to basics moods as a reader, or if you're automatically drawn toward classics, then you must read Hemingway, of course. I read it over a period of just 2 days. It will only take you that long. Now, I wouldn't call A Moveable Feast Ernest Hemingway's biography, but in the book, he does provide a detailed account of his life as a 20-something-year-old living in Paris. And there's a detailed account of the enchanting city of Paris as well. You know, the cafes, streets, bookstores, River Seine, food. Now, while reading the book, you somehow come to realize just how much pain and sorrow was a part of Hemingway and his life. He has talked about this feeling of a kind of emptiness, which can be interpreted as loneliness, and he has talked about all the things that he did to fill that void. And in the book, he also talks very passionately about writing. Do not worry, you have always written before, and you will write now. All you have to do is write one true sentence. Write the truest sentence that you know. You know, I'm the type of reader who likes to read between the lines. So for me, A Moveable Feast gave me a ton of that unwritten, unspoken stuff. And you realize just how much of his true feelings and thoughts he kept hidden away from the unforgiving, judgmental gaze of the world. And no matter what he did, that feeling of emptiness always made its presence felt in his life. And it took many different forms as well. For example, in the book, Ernest Hemingway has, he's mentioned it quite a few times, actual physical hunger, which can be interpreted as a kind of emptiness. And this is so strange because I remember this was my second time reading A Moveable Feast. And the first time I read the book, I didn't get any of this. I didn't realize that he had had such a hard time in his life. I watched this video of him on this channel called Horses. In it, you get to know all the pain, all the suffering, all the trauma that Ernest Hemingway went through as a person, as a child, even as a man. I think that's what he's done with his book. Somehow he's found, in a very indirect way, he talks about what it takes to be a man in this world. Though it may seem artistic, but the reality is not. I mean, every time up until my second read, actually, every time I had heard about Hemingway or read about Hemingway, I always got the feeling that there was something lurking beneath the surface. There's so much more to Hemingway. If you're someone who reads between the lines like me, you will catch that. Maybe not in your first read of Ernest Hemingway's A Moveable Feast, but it was very difficult to not understand that, obviously, in the second read. And I think that's why it's so important to read a book multiple times, at least twice, if not more than that, because what happens is the first time you read, you're just appreciating the language of the book, but it's the second time around that you truly understand everything that is happening behind those words, if that makes any sense. So yeah, in all, A Moveable Feast was a genuine delight to read, and all because of Ernest Hemingway's masterful writing. You expected to be sad in the fall. Part of you died each year when the leaves fell from the trees and their branches were bare against the wind and the cold wintry light. But you knew there would always be the spring, as you knew the river would flow again after it was frozen. When the cold rains kept on and killed the spring, it was as though a young person had died for no reason.